Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another installment of the State of FEH Podcast. We're on our 30th episode now. I'm your host, DTM, and I'm joined by Oblivion and Joel from Phaeology. How are you two doing on this special episode?
Oh, we're getting old now.
I need all of you listeners to know how quickly DTM rushed us into this. Like, normally we talk for like 5-10 minutes and kind of chat, and this time he just all business. He's like, we got CYL to talk about. Let's go.
Yes.
So I mean, he's very excited. Very, very excited.
I think
we also just hit 30.
Are.
We're old people now, officially. Like, that's crazy.
We're officially the Fae boomers. I mean, you two are actually the Fae boomers.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
Okay,
thanks. Okay.
But yeah, as Joel said, we have a lot to discuss because this is the CYL installment. We did have the CYL 8 reveal with Bray, Felix, Bernadetta, Alfonse, and Robin, female Robin. And oh boy, are they very, very interesting units, huh?
Oh yeah. I personally love this. Like, Felix is there, so I'm biased, but obviously, like, I think the units themselves are really fun.
I think they did a really good job. We've talked about this, but I think all of them are very cohesive, and I appreciate that. They don't look like thrown together.
Yeah, like the unit designs, in terms of their like gameplay and their kits, I think are really, really well done and also very, very interesting, right? Because like they introduce a lot of new things, I guess, that are very unique so far, and like all of them. I mean, I only have two, unfortunately, but the ones I have, they're like really, really fun to play with, and yeah, I also think they did a really, really good job with this batch. I mean, it was a high bar from CYL 7 because I think last year we also said the same thing, but I think they lived up to it. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like I actually like this group better, maybe. I don't know. Last year was cool because it had like a lot of new mechanics with like, decide decoy giving out saves and terrain obviously being the biggest one. Mm-hmm. But this one, I'm just like, these characters are just fun to play with. Like, that's right. What I really love about it.
They're unique and they're all different.
Yes.
Like there was a bit of the same in last year, and then there was the dud that we won't talk about. But yeah, that's.
Oh.
Yeah. Don't worry. We have a young version now to redeem that. But anyways, yes, like all of them are super interested. So yeah, let's get into it. I guess just one by one, starting. Let's start with Felix because he's the one on the top of my list in this outline. And I know, Oblivion, you've been having a lot of fun with Felix in pretty much every single game mode, if I understand correctly.
I think he's honestly one of the best units in every single game mode. It's like I 100% actually think that.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because
it's like, think about like arena. He's like super broken in arena, right? Like he can just he's bad. He's toxic bad in arena because like he's coming at you and he just runs and then he's across the whole field and you're like, please stop. And if he kills one unit, he's probably killing two, which means like even your bonus arena hero isn't saving you, which really sucks. So there's that. And Eikþyrnir's offense, I think like if you've seen it at all, he's amazing in a million different ways. I think the most common strategy is like the AoE Gale Force strat. But he's also just really good at like hit and sit and even hit and run. So like that's really amazing. And then Eikþyrnir's defense, he's toxic there with the Selkering because a lot of times you can't one-shot him and he'll just survive and then jump into your backline and kill you. So I feel like I've seen a lot of people doing that, like Infantry Pulse, Tacho, a lot of other people's in like the competitive server. And then in summer duels, I've been playing him as much as I can. Unfortunately, he got banned almost every single match in my rank 1 run. I got to play him twice, and I won within the first 2 turns, so that was kind of cool, but also sad. But I think
your fault, though. Your team was Felix is greater than Edelgard. I mean, like if I'm seeing that, I'm immediately banning Felix. Like
I changed my name.
Yeah. I can't believe you betrayed chat with the Ado got greater than Felix and then swapped it like SM.
I didn't trade it. I waited exactly 1 week. The deal was always 1 week. The second it turned 1 week, like the second it did, I waited. I was like, okay, we're gonna run this blasphemous name of trash. Throw this away. Put it correctly. Okay, here we go. But yeah, I think he's like I have a replay from ASF Box, who's like an amazing. He does a lot for the community, and the replay is just stupid. Like it's so insanely how powerful Felix can be. And this map wasn't even like that great for him in my opinion. Like he definitely had some advantages if you give him like the trade ignoring, but like on a more open map, like he's just gonna be able to come in from a million different directions and be really annoying. So I think he's just nuts. I think he's absolutely insanely broken, and I love every second of it.
Yeah, I think when it comes to Felix and SD, he came at like the perfect time because we had Celica Ring that was released like 2-ish months ago, and Celica Ring really did bring the rise of melee nukes again, because one of the issues with melee nukes previously was that unless you're a cav, you didn't have the range that ranged nukes had. But now with melee nukes, with Celica Ring, you have the same range, and Felix just benefits so much from that, being able to have that range and being able to basically effectively still threaten after his actions, so that you have to deal with him unless you want like another unit to potentially get killed. And so it's really the environment is like really good for him right now, with the introduction of Celica Ring, with the rise of melee nukes, and just him being a super fun with action economy, which, you know, in Summer's duels, action economy is the name of the game, and yeah, Felix does definitely benefit a lot from that.
I think another thing is like he's not weak to anti-warping. Like he's not reliant on the Celica Ring like someone's like Emblem Marth maybe, right? If you're trying to go for that kind of strat, because he has 3 movement, right? Like he has his Tempest skill. It's a really good Tempest skill, and so even if they have anti-warping, you could kind of just approach them. Like you could just be like, okay, I'm gonna stay right out of like danger range and just threaten you. Like, and then the second you get a chance, you can just go in and start like just going to town. And so I think it makes him really versatile because he's, you know, not with the anti-warping. He has the extra movement, and he can even waste an action. So he has action economy. He can approach exactly the way he wants to approach. And what was the last thing? I can't remember. I just like completely blanked on it. But yeah, he's just really fun. Oh, stall. He's not even really weak to stall, which I thought like at first was gonna be a big problem with him. But because he can just waste an action to get rid of all debuffs, you can just like move him up, and then you're right back into the action. So it's. Those hidden skills on him are really strong. They're not written on this unit, but they're actually there, which is so cool.
I like him. I don't know that he's as powerful as he's being touted on offense, but I think he's a good amount of powerful, if you know what I mean. Like I still think there's counterplay around him. I don't think he's like, you know how Ike was kind of a power spike, and it just everything was measured by that. I think he's a very good unit. He's a lot of fun. He's more powerful the more knowledgeable you are, and I like the way that scales. Yep. I'm not a huge fan of him on defense, and the only what I'm talking about there is the frustration factor. It's the Celica Ring plus him are just so annoying.
I mean, that's why
that's the only thing I really worry about. Absolutely, but it is harder to do that now than it was a couple months ago,
or even before the
like
CYL came out, right? Because we just got a new Ethere's defense unit who makes it extremely annoying.
Yeah, and we'll definitely talk about that later. But yeah, that is definitely something to consider too, and also something that I guess. Because, like, Felix, I definitely agree with you, Chill. It's not like an Emblem Ike power spike or something like that. It's not really, like, a unit that raises the bar or, like, a unit that, I guess... It's kind of hard to explain, but I understand, like... I mean, I guess it comes back down to like player phase strategies, at least when it comes to Ethere's offense. They're just really plentiful, the amount of options you have, so it doesn't like impact that as much as it could. Also, Gale Force being unpopular still to this day, which still makes me really sad. Also, one thing that kind of made me a little bit annoyed with Felix is the fact that if you assist him, he loses all his like extra actions and stuff. I was so sad about that because I have done like a smite play or something with Felix, just forgetting about that, and then I was like, wait, why isn't he gale forcing? What is this?
I absolutely did the same thing. I was like, wait, what black magic is this? How did they take away my action? Oh,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
And like, so that is definitely something you have to like keep in mind, and it comes back to like, Felix is better the more knowledgeable you are about like how to play with him, because there are definitely like Felix plays in Summer's duels that are questionable, which would make you think that Felix is not actually that great, but in a very, very good player, it can be very, very oppressive. And so also, something in Summer's duels, I was trying to do a play with Brave Robin, which we'll talk about later, with Felix just smiting him in with the stones or the ice to protect him, but then I realized it doesn't work because he uses action, so rip that.
One thing I will say, like, I think that Felix is definitely a meta-defining hero when it comes to like the top 100 players in Etherid's defense, because the truth is like when you get to Etherid's, there's a very large gap between like the top 100 or 200 players and everybody else. You can tell when someone who's like, hey, I played this game, this defense is crazy, right? And so when you run into those kind of players, I feel like Felix does make a big difference because he essentially has disarm trap. And so a lot of ways good players build their teams is using traps to protect certain like angles of entry. And with Felix, I feel like at the top play, if you need to defend against Felix, the best way is a near save, which means that you kind of have to have a near save and a far save, which definitely changes defense team structure a lot. Now it's possible maybe you can get rid of the far save if you like are really good at building defense. I do think that's something that you have to consider, and I think that like something we'll talk about later with Brave Robin is that she definitely helps with that. And I think that the best players are going to be people who can use that ice terrain to their advantage, while also making them not as reliant on traps, because traps aren't as strong as they were just before Felix got released now.
It's similar to like when Winter Edelgard released, and she had like just enough HP to get over hex traps. So you see a lot of people just running near saves like Brave Edelgard. And so I think we could potentially see something similar with Felix, where ranged units, it's fine. We can have traps for them. Like, no one's running disarm trap on the main ranged Gale Forcers now. So, yeah, we can have the traps deal with that, and then we'll just have the near save deal with, like, the Felixes and the Sharenas and the Edelgards, and yeah.
And I'm already seeing some really creative things on defense just with trap placement. I know for mine, if you stepped on the lightning trap, it would trigger Vantage for everybody. And so suddenly your Felix didn't have any HP, and then the person he was going with also had Vantage. So that was there were a couple folks that just got stymied by that, as well as placing them just right to where Felix can't hit and run. That's the other thing that he's there. You can get that done as well. So I'm already seeing some really creative things there. But to your point, I mean, it's Oblivion, like way back when you were talking about game design. Like I feel like this has expanded the number of things we can do as opposed to just upping the power level, which I'm all about. I think that's a great thing. Absolutely. I love that. And anytime they can make design choices like that, I always like applaud them for it, because it's not the easiest thing to do, and a lot of times they don't do it. Like, let's be real. A lot of times they're just like, slap the good effects on a good unit, you're set. So I'm really happy about that. And the other thing I will just keep preaching about, like a missionary, slaying 2 is broken because it can be slaying 3, and that is just insane. That is not fair. So I am looking forward to more emblem rings, and I am looking forward to more big specials. Give me a big juicy 4 cooldown special to use on Felix.
What specials do we have for like speedy units? Like, because like we have like Ignis and
Gust. That's it. Like,
yeah, it's just
big
Gust
damage.
right now,
Just Gust. Yeah. Dalek reflexes and stuff, but it's kind of like whatever. Gust is the big one, and then obviously I've been using Miracle, which is disgusting.
I haven't seen many Miracle Felixes, to be perfectly honest. I've mainly seen I've mainly seen like the AoE builds for Aether Raids, and then just like standard base kit when it comes to Summoner's Duels. How's
you've seen PM1's build guides where it'll go over and then it'll be like, and for max invest, and I feel like that's where the Miracle build goes.
I feel like the Miracle build is like for like people who like want to do some fine cooking, who are like, you know what, I'm not happy with the broken Felix. I gotta make some nonsense, right? That's right. So I'm like over here like, what if we put a Goose Friend on the unit with the basic B skill? That. But it's fun. I mean, that's what it's mostly there for, is fun.
And yeah, just having like being able to do something unique with a unit is just very, very satisfying, and the ability for Felix to do that, it just, I guess, shows like how well designed he is when it comes to his kit. And yeah, like I think overall they did a really, really good job with Felix. As Joel said, like it's not an increase in like a power spike, but it does like provide a lot more options, which I'm always a big fan of. Yeah. What would you say is the mode where he will, I guess, star the longest, do you think?
I think probably Aether Raid's offense. Like that's like it's really easy to make Aether Raid's offense work. So even if people start trying to counter him, there's like a million things you can do to help him out pretty easily. For Summer Duels, I don't know, because like the thing is like right now we're in like kind of a tank era. Like tanks are pretty strong right now. And so I don't see them making stronger tanks, but I could be lying. They could power boost Ike next banner for all I know. So I think he'll be fine there for a while, but eventually tanks will get another power rise after the nukes get a power rise. So like it's only matter. Like they're so weird with that. They just like rotate it constantly.
Well, we're due for saviors. Like we're due for a spike in saviors.
I think they're kind of like done with that. I don't know if they're gonna like. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like right now it's gonna be like last year where we got like 1 million God Swords and then like we hit like fall and they're like, here's every nuke in the game that's just completely broken. Like I feel like we're about to hit that.
I will be happy if I'm wrong and you're right on that. I prefer I prefer without saves. I'm not a huge fan.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of saves either, but I guess we'll have to wait and see what, like, if that happens or what IS's plans are for that. I will say, like, one of the best saves right now, Valentine's Summer does. I mean, I know you talked about like the Tempest 4, being able to give the extra mover to Felix, but it does make it difficult for Felix to take full effect of Celica Ring with that, because he can't run past, essentially. And so until we get like a pass seal or like actually no, not even past Echo, that won't work because of the stupid limitations on that. But that is something that you would have to like be mindful of, considering that Valentine's Summer is like very, very common these days when it comes to the teams out there. And I'm not just saying that because like I lost because Celica didn't have Water Sweep or anything like that.
That was rough. I'm gonna be real though, I didn't run Celica Ring on my Felix team for SD. I ran the Ike Ring and I just ran him at Myrrh, killed Myrrh, took off their warp bubble with Nurgle, and then they couldn't kill him. Like Felix just wasn't immortal. And I was like, okay, fine. I just killed everything. So I think he's really flexible in that matter. Like I really like that because I knew Myrrh was gonna be everywhere. So I was like, I'm just gonna put Celica Ring on somebody else named Ike.
The switcheroo.
Yep.
But yeah, Felix is definitely looking very, very fun. Speaking of fun, Ice Ice Baby, we have a brave female Robin.
How long have you been waiting to say that?
I thought of that like after I did my thumbnail for my SDS live stream, and I was like, that was just such a missed opportunity. So
I thought of it when I saw that. When I saw your thumbnail, I was like, oh, you didn't go for Ice Ice Baby. That's how it was.
But yeah, brave female Robin with the ice veins. That is probably the quote-unquote signature mechanic of brave female Robin. And as we mentioned, the ARD folks have already been putting a lot of work into defenses that make really good use of the ice veins. Have you seen any interesting layouts or anything interesting from the defenses you've seen so far?
The mountain one is the one I think you're going to see a lot of, and that because it's so perfectly. Once you put Robin in the center there, like all of the ice blocks off past that you could go. It's makes it more difficult to do any sort of player face stuff.
I see. Right.
Yeah. That's pretty much what I saw too. I saw something similar to that, and I was like, oh. And I think I almost fell for it because it was like the second day CYL had been out, and so I almost forgot she did it like on turn 1 because I was about to Felix it, and I was like, oh, I have to do this differently, and so I had to attack from a different trap so I could hit the ice block so I could get in. And I was like, okay, this is weird, but okay, it works. It's strong. It's a very annoying effect, but it's very good.
Right. Because like
where I get into go ahead.
I mean, I was just gonna say, because like it activates turn 1. Like unlike a lot of the skills that like activate, at the start of the enemy phase of turn 1, it's specifically worded so that it can work on Aetheryte's defense. So I think that is something that IS definitely like kept in mind when like implementing the Divine Ice mechanic for Robin.
The fact that it regenerates too, like you can't clear it out, wait a turn, and then go in. Like it's gonna keep coming back. But the thing I'm still wrapping my head around the fact that if you kill a unit that is on ice, the ice stays there, and then you have to break the ice before you get to the unit behind it.
It's so annoying, like especially when I'm doing like my Gale Force strats. Like I already have like 2 matches or something where like that like completely, because like it's not just about preventing the initiator from getting in, it's also about reducing the spaces you have to put other units in, like warp in dancers or warp in follow-up units or try to reach the other units. It's very I mean we sort of knew that it would be very, very powerful on defense, and I think like Brave Female Robin definitely lived up to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it also makes Hush Spectrum much more consistent on defense too, which is also something you have to consider if you want to use Ike. Right, because like
Go ahead.
I was gonna switch to offense. Why don't you go ahead and finish?
Yeah, right. Because like her Hush Spectrum, it's global, so like it has infinite range. You can't like just maneuver around it. It's whichever one's the closest, and 2 spaces within that, like you just get Hush Spectrumed. And yeah, on defense specifically versus Ike, there's unless you like have some sort of cleanse support, like it's basically very hard to get rid of.
Yeah, you just want special jump support in most situations.
Right.
I think she's a very interesting offense unit. A lot of the things you can do is kind of plug the holes.
Yep.
And so that you don't get folks warping in. And that is incredibly strong in a Celica era when
right. Yep.
People are just flying around everywhere. Even when you think about Felix, who I think we're going to see a ton on defense. Like if you can plug that hole behind your lead tank, then that means he can't get around. Now you still have to worry about what he's going to do to that tank, but that's another concern altogether.
Right. No, I completely agree. I think it's really cool using ice on offense. It's very creative. Like this is gonna be weird to sound like, but remember when Duo Leon was being used on offense, and like there's like really creative plays you could do where you could kind of shut down the correct unit to keep the other units from actually getting to you. And I feel like this is the same thing with ice, but much more healthy and a little bit more difficult to pull off too. So I think it's gonna really allow players to show off some of their skill and how they use ice to block off the exact routes the enemy needs to get to their back line.
Whenever I think of Brave Female Robin on offense, I think to that one Twitter clip where it's just like them creeping forward slowly but surely with the ice.
Oh, the AI, dude. The AI is so scary.
Yeah, because like if like you block it off with the ice, like the AI isn't activated, so like they're just stuck there. You could just slowly creep up, and unless they have like a melee Celica ring user, like Felix, like you you could just like cheese it, completely cheese it, which was so funny to see, honestly.
Yeah, just to be clear for the people, because obviously you probably can't see what we're talking about. It's on an empty map, so like on a realistic map, it's probably not going to be as efficient as it is on a blank map. But yeah, it does have very interesting AI mechanics and like possible uses, right? Because there's maybe other ways to use it we haven't thought of yet to like really creatively force the AI to do things we want or make them not do things we don't want.
And it's a very interesting proof of concept. I mean, that's really what it is. It's just showing how to manipulate AI in a very specific way, in a very specific scenario. But it's fascinating, and I think we're going to see more of that. There are a lot of things. In the same way that Felix requires a lot of knowledge, I think it's going to be that same way, which is you guys have already said, but I've played with her, and you've really got to be careful about where you're placing that stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, definitely. Go ahead.
And the same can be said for like summer duels too, right? Like I know DTM was doing the opening. I think Mask made the opening, to be fair. Like the double smite with Ike opening, where like it not only gets Ike into the enemy team really quickly, but it also protects your entire team with ice. And it's so cool. It's just such a cool like interaction, and like it really lets you add another level to your openings, where like it gives almost the opponent like a fake opening, like, oh look, they didn't see this, and then all of a sudden just ice covers everything, and you're like, okay. So it's really, really cool. I like it a lot. I do think it's annoying though if you've played against it. It's really annoying because you really have to think about a lot more now when you're engaging, because it's not only like, oh, am I trading this way? It's, am I trading or am I allowing Robin to trade, and where is she going to go when she trades, so that where the ice is going to pop up. So it adds like a whole new level of complexity in a sense, and it also adds like more chances to outplay your opponent, which is big.
Yeah, which is like the good kind of complexity, where it rewards like that skill expression. Yes. And like obviously like when Robin was revealed, like there was a lot of thought into using Robin as like a defensive tactic to protect your team, but it's also a very good way to like trade up without risking like your opponent from killing you, because like the ice can help protect your unit, or Robin in this case. When she engages, the ice goes, and then it's really hard for the enemy to retaliate back. And so like that sort of interaction, I think, is really, really cool on something like Summer's Duels. And yeah, I was also using the double smite, the smiting with Robin, just putting Ike there protected. It was really, really fun. I was so sad I couldn't use it as much during my run because it kept getting banned. But yeah, that was really, really fun. And I'm just interested to see what will happen in SDR in 2 weeks, where
oh god,
I don't even know what map we have, but I can already see like both Brave Robins on both sides just like spamming their ice.
I mean, this is no doubt an SDR level unit. Like this is a very good unit.
Yeah. And just to be clear, when I use the ice, it's me being like a genius, and when you use the ice and piss me off, it's crazy. So just to be clear, right?
Yes, that's how it works. You heard it here first. But yeah, like I think Brave Female Robin does have a lot going for her for an SDR unit. Like the ice is really good. Hush Spectrum, of course, we've talked a lot about previously. Honestly, providing Canto 1 is also really, really strong.
Yes.
Canto 1 is just moving back 1, just like adds a whole layer of depth to trading that is really, really neat. And yeah, like Robin has the nuke, has the support. It's really, really great to see, honestly, as someone who was really looking forward to her when she was revealed as a winner in January.
Yeah. I think the one other thing I would say is that the panic support is really strong. Don't underestimate that. It's really powerful, especially when you combine it with like Attune Micaiah. I was running Attune Micaiah and Robin with Ike, and it's just disgusting because Micaiah does all the normal debuffs on your stats, and then if you're like, I'm gonna use a bonus, she turns the panic on. So like, it just makes your team like completely debilitated. So it's a deadly duo.
Right. Yeah. And like that also like synergizes well with Creation Pulse, even though I think Creation Pulse is kind of bad skill.
I don't like it in SD.
Yeah.
In
SD,
great. Etherid's offense, fine, sure. SD, nah.
Yeah. Yeah. I was seeing some like builds of Creation Pulse Emblem Ike, and then that was like very quickly dropped, like when when the banner released. So yeah,
it's very inconsistent. It's like very, very inconsistent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is funny because I was in this boat. I was like, this is amazing. This is a absolutely incredible skill.
Yeah, in SD the problem is like they just end their turn and then you're like, oh, okay, no, wait, let's get my Creation Pulse on board. Like, okay, never mind. There goes my player phase, and then like if they have enemy, like they're trying to attack into you, it's like, okay, hopefully they have debuffs, because if not, I'm screwed.
Yeah, debuffers hate this one simple trick. Call it now.
So that leads us into another topic, and what's kind of slept on is she's a really good nuke.
I think I think she's like a tier 2 nuke. Like personally, I don't think she's like a tier 1 nuke by any means. Like I've definitely had her flop a little bit. She's really dependent on those visible bonuses and debuffs on the enemy again. And so sometimes, like if you're running into a far save, I found that they just end the turn with their far save, and then like her damage drops pretty hard. So I don't think she's like bad by any means. That's not what I'm saying. She's a good nuke. I just don't think she's like, if I'm turning to a nuke to kill something, she's not my number 1 choice, I guess is the best way to put it.
I think, and I guess I should specify, I think in the context of Aetherid's defense, I think she's an excellent nuke. And but this year, you're more likely to have penalties because you don't have the end turning as much. So that's
right.
But yeah, I've had her really put in a lot of work. To your point, she's not top tier, but she's very serviceable. Like she does a good job.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, easily.
Yeah, and honestly, like I don't know if I've seen it in the wild or if people have actually done it, but I've also seen like people pairing Heiðrún with Brave Female Robin so that you can do the assist with Brave Female Robin and still have an action to do something. And this is something we will talk about later, but like I think that would work really, really well in defense and in Summer's duels as well. Although I don't know if I've ever seen those two paired up yet in the wild.
Yeah, we'll definitely be talking about Heiðrún later. That unit. But yeah.
On that foreshadowing note, we have Alfonse, who is a very tanky boy, or paper, depending on which unit he faces against. He's so weird. Can I just say, like, there are sometimes he's just like unkillable, and then sometimes using the same units, he just falls like paper, and like it's so weird to me. Like I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like if he doesn't get his special off before the first combat, like he just melts sometimes. Like I have killed him like with like stuff I had no idea I'd be able to kill him with. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, okay, what the heck? And then sometimes he's just like a god, and he's like, I take 0 damage. And I'm like, okay, what the heck? So I think he is a very good unit. In Aetherid's offense, I think he definitely can work there. The problem is that he just has weaknesses, right? Like his lack of NCD is the biggest problem in my opinion, just because like if a unit survives on defense, a lot of times they get danced or they get like the chance to like do some other nonsense, and then your backline dies, right? And so I just don't love him there. It's not my favorite, but he definitely can work, right? Like I'm not trying to say he's bad, but he's just not my favorite unit to use because he has such a key weakness. And then in Summer Duels, I think we haven't seen his full potential yet. This map was extremely cav hated. Like they're just cabs were just not the thing off this map.
Yeah.
Like they were countered in like multiple ways by the map itself. And even then I think it was Chinese players using Alfonse pretty effectively. They had to force it. Like they had to force it hard. But when they got it to work, he was scary. Especially with that Celica ring. When he got in there, like it was GG after he attacked pretty much. So I definitely think he has potential, like a lot of potential, and I think that all it takes is a little bit more from like either a new banner or just like one other unit who provides like the great talent or something like that, right? Like maybe even the next Emblem ring gives him what he needs, but like he's very close to being really, really strong, like in the meta. So I'm pretty happy with him.
I feel like he's the definition of a role player, though. I mean, what you just described. In very specific roles, he's amazing. Like, if you've got everything's going your way. And the other thing that I just love him for is PvE. And I know we look down on that, but he's so much fun there. And I did the really cheesy little spring bar tray showcase. I gave him all the extra stats from Alfonse, and that's really fun. So I think he's amazing for that.
I'm excited
please don't hate on
for
me.
the scam showcase of 6 Alfonses on the defense.
Yep.
Like,
well,
I'm surprised it hasn't been made yet. Like, that's free content right there.
Yeah, but you know it scales per his special. I'm blanking on the name. So individual Alfonses don't give all of each other stats. It's just the one. All Alfonses can only get 20. That's it.
Well, yeah.
Right,
but you're right. But how many stats would that be per turn though? It would be like what, 7, I think, because the Alfonse himself gives himself 2, and then all the other Alfonses would give him 1.
You get there quick, but that's
6. Yeah. But
so you're still capped.
No, yeah, you're definitely still capped. Yeah, I feel like once you get up to like even 10, like it gets hard to kill him. And one was actually lost. I lost 2 maps in SD this season, and one of them was to an unkillable Gatry. Like I could not do any damage. I did 2 damage to him. My best nukes with a Catria ball with treachery. I could only do 2 damage. And what this team essentially did is they just had Alfonse chilling in the back, and everyone just turtled super hard. Alfonse just kept giving out stats to all the tanks, and I couldn't do anything. So the guy just waited until like turn 5, where he's like souped up Gatry with like 1 billion stats, and they just killed me. And I was like, okay, well I can't do anything. So maybe that's obviously because this map was like Turtle Central, but that there is something to it, right? And so if there's another great talent unit, I'm gonna be horrified because I think we're gonna see tanks plus Alfonse plus that new unit, and they're just gonna chill in the corner and hide until like they're like Giga Jesus and kill all of us. So
I need Chronicos to give me his Binding Worlds Gatry. Like
yes.
that's what I need. My Binding Worlds pulls were not great this time, so I need him to come find me.
Fortifications like reopening Gatry is scary.
But yeah, like to your point, Oblivion, like right now Alfonse is definitely like not to his full potential. If we get like another great talent user, or if IS does something more with great talent, like that could be very, very strong. Like you mentioned, the issue with Alfonse right now is that it's pretty slow to ramp up the great talent, unless you proc the special, which there are ways to do with like Celico Ring. Obviously this current SD map was really, really bad, but like people were able to make it work with Celico Ring. And so, yeah, I think obviously like in PvE it's really fun, especially if you like wait till turn 10 and just have like your units with plus 10 stats to everything.
Right.
But like the most important turns in competitive modes are turns like 1 and 2 essentially. And so unfortunately right now it's hard to make Alfonse live up to that potential that a lot of people were seeing when he was first released in the FEH channel. And so like, yeah, I guess it remains to be seen how IS will continue to develop great talent and how that will affect Alfonse's trajectory in, I guess, power-wise.
So to all the Alfonse fans, I want you to pay very close attention. We're not saying he's bad. We're saying that there's a lot of potential that we haven't seen yet. Yeah. So that's a really fine line there. There's and I will say I don't think he's good on Aetherite's offense. I'm not sure that one's ever going to be realized. But there's a lot of other places where I think you can use him.
I think it's possible. Like, what if we get like Emblem Leaf and he has NCD in his ring? Like all of a sudden, most of Alfonse's problems are fixed. So I think that could be a big deal.
I'm seeing him die a lot, so that's I don't know.
Like
I had
also
4
he has
against
like
my defense.
If he gets scowled, he has like no player phase too, which is very unfortunate since he does not have any guaranteed follow-up attack unless you like have Crux support or something like that. And so Yeah, this goes back to him really relying on his special, and if that gets turned off, at least right now, he has no player face.
Okay, I got two things real quick. Sorry. One, there's the best unit, or like one of the best units in the game just got released, and she like totally fixes that problem. Her name's Nephany. She gives a special jump and crux, so she's best friends with Alfonse. Just saying. And then the second thing is a bold prediction. I think that the first week of SD after the refines for Chrom and Seliph, we're gonna see a Cav favored map, and it's gonna be Team Alfonse, Seliph, and Chrom, and they're gonna dominate with Pathfinder. I think that's gonna happen. So, just you guys can make fun of me in like a month, I guess.
I mean, if Brave Chrom gets a cracked refine and works well with like Alfonse, like imagine if like Brave Chrom's refine just like also takes great talent from.
No, stop.
This is my ATM side leaking out.
Oh my gosh.
No, they're gonna give great talent to Tiki.
Oh, they might.
They might actually.
They'll give her something.
Yeah.
She's gonna get something stupid.
But yeah, Alfonse also came with a bunch of new skills. Like we had fortifications, which is really, really interesting, I think, as a skill. Like, I know a lot of people were saying that it's basically power crept. I can't remember what the one that Heiðrún had. But Stronghold. Yeah. Stronghold, yes, that's what it was. But it's interesting in that it requires you to like engage in order to get most of the effects, which is good for like Celica Ring users, Celica Ring tanks. But I know it's interesting. It's interesting.
Alternately, you put it on say Ike and you have Lumera, and that gets it done as well.
I guess that is true. Like you can replicate it with just Lumera and Ike, and then run like.
Someone brought it up in the unit reviews. I was like, oh my god, that is so smart.
Yeah, that's what I was doing. And then on the Gatry team I couldn't beat, they did that as well. They used Lumera to like protect him until he could go in, and then they had him protect himself with fortifications. So it was really annoying, but yeah, it was very effective.
Is Lumera actually like secretly OP and we never just realized it?
No, I think Lumera's been solid for a while. Like she was solid on release. I didn't think she was great, but she's just gotten better and better with time, like literally. Yeah. So I think she's like one of the better life mythics in the game. If you're trying to tank, she's pretty much the best life mythic.
Right. Yeah. We also have Reopening, which has become infamous in the lore of FEH. Specifically, yes, there was a crash with Reopening plus Panette. Some poor software engineer had to work their weekends in order to fix the bug quickly enough before SDS, but we are very thankful to that poor software engineer. But besides that, have you seen any good users of Reopening that you thought were pretty effective?
Gatry. Gatry's insane. Just stacking flat damage reduction because of his refine, and the fact that he can get he gets special jump 2 before the foe's first attack, so you can go for Miracle or you can go for like Armored Beacon or whatever. It's just stupid. It's really, really powerful. So I've seen that. I also think it's just really good on a lot of flyers and some Cavs. Not a lot of Cavs, but some Cavs. It's like essentially Lagoose Friend Light, and Lagoose Friend is just completely and utterly broken. So even if it's missing a few effects, it's still really good.
That's my favorite, is on Cavs and Flyers. I know Infantry Pulse ran a whole bunch of sims on it and was saying it's really a side grade or downgrade depending on the tank. For armors. But that may be Gatry may be the exception. I've seen so many Reopening Gatrys, I have to assume that's the case.
It's so strong. It's so strong.
Yeah. For Cavs and Flyers, I mean that's all they got. Like that is, and it's really, like you said, it's great on them. I really like it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I haven't really seen that many Reopenings out there, besides like the people trying to exploit the bug with Panette. It was so funny going into SD favor and seeing like the Panette, and if they did not have AoE, both you and the enemy literally can't do anything to Panette. Like Panette can't engage, you can't engage onto Panette, so it was actually really, really funny playing around that. Obviously, with AoE, like Panette can actually attack with a bug, But yeah, other than that, unfortunately I haven't really seen a reopening too much, so I don't really have that much experience. But I definitely agree that I think it's better on flyers and calves opposed to those that can just like run Laguz Friend 4, because like, yeah, Laguz Friend 4, as Oblivion said, is pretty strong.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's probably the strongest skill they've ever made, I feel like. Like it's not usable on everybody, but when it is usable, it's like always the choice you take. So
It's the skill of this year. Like what was last year we had
Guidance.
I guess the year before that was Guidance, and the year before that was Hardy Fighter, and so it's that good, that level of good.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, it might be the skill that defines a book like those previous ones, and so
Absolutely.
yeah, fun things to see how it goes in the future. We have one last unit for CYL 8, and that is Bernadetta, last but certainly not least, or maybe depending on who you ask. When it comes to
You said that, I was like, wait a second.
when it comes to unit kit and stuff, that's what I meant by that. Bernadetta's interesting as a unit. Like the Vantage, I mean, self-damage I always really like, because like you can do like some Ardent Sacrifice plays. The debuff Reflection would have been really, really good if it actually worked in Summer's duels, but unfortunately it doesn't. And
I feel like they were scared of this unit in Summoner duels, if I'm being honest. Like I think they were worried about what it would do.
That's fair. I mean, it's completely fair, right? Like Vantage Desperation and penalty throwing back in SD would be just gross. Like it would be so hard to calculate everything that's gonna happen. You know what I mean? Like it's already hard enough as it is.
right. But like the Vantage and Desperation support, I've seen some teams that people have tried to cook with, like Vantage. I saw like a Vantage, I faced against a Vantage Alfonse supported by Bernadetta, and I'm still so sad I listened to chat and did a wrong move, but that's okay. But yeah, like having that Vantage can, like, if the opponent is not prepared for it, it can actually like checkmate depending on the situation.
I ran into one Bernadetta team during my SD run, and they all had Vantage, and it did nothing to me. Like I literally, they hit me, I didn't die, I killed them. Like it just charged my special, and then I had Neffany who had sweep. So like the one unit Bernadetta who would have killed somebody, Neffany just killed her like it was nothing. So like it did literally nothing at all. I was like, that was kind of underwhelming. I'm not gonna even lie. Like it was, I don't think she could even kill Myr. Like Bernadetta couldn't even kill Myr. So I was like, oh okay, like huh.
This is something you keep saying, Oblivion, but we're kind of in the age of bulk.
Yeah.
And Vantage really does better with the glass cannon type meta, and so that's tough. But I love her on defense. I think she is an excellent defense unit, and you fit her in pretty much wherever you would put calves, and then she adds the extra stuff that she normally does. I've gone back and forth whether Oblivion. I think you talked about the synergy with Heiðrún, or rather the anti-synergy. So
yes.
I don't love that, but I have found that I don't really care too much. I feel like she still does a lot of the stuff that I want her to do, but it's all tied to how well she nukes. Like she has to be able to do that and nuke, and I worry about how quickly that'll fade.
Go ahead.
I was using her because I was doing like test runs to get footage, and I found that like, a lot of her best support units, like Attuned Micaiah or even Hortensia, they all heal her, and I was like, stop it. And so I kept like running into runs. I'm like, why does she keep dying? And she has Vantage up. I'm like, oh, because she keeps getting healed to full health. And so I just found like there's a lot of like incidental healing in the current game right now, and so you have to be really specific with who you pair her up with. And it kind of sucks because Hortensia and Micaiah are probably like two of the best debuffers in the game. So I kind of just had to use Brave Robin. Like that was like really one of my only options. And while her support is good, it didn't really help Bernie the way that I like Micaiah or Hortensia would have, right? Where you get to have like such massive debuffs on the foe stats, which is what Bernie really wants because she wants to hit harder with her Vantage, right? While Brave Robin's was a lot more. If they didn't have visible bonuses, it really didn't affect their stats much. And Hush Spectrum really didn't do anything because they're not getting a chance to attack. So like you're just killing them anyway, right? So I just feel like there's a lot of anti-synergy. I think there's a good chance though in the future we get that unit who's just the perfect fit for Bernie and she just pops off. I think there's a lot of potential for that. But I do think the window for that isn't as large as it is for Alfonse, just because nukes age so quickly.
Right. Like, I think Bernadetta arrived at a very, very awkward place for her because, as you mentioned, we are in a more bulky meta. We have a lot of healing that you really want to, on units that you would really want to run. And, like, Bernadetta herself, like, I'm going to be honest, I haven't been that impressed by her nuking capabilities, even on release. Like, I remember when practicing in Favor, she did, like, literally just 2 damage to Emblem Ike on my Emblem Ike team, which is not a good sign. And, again, like the debuff reflection not working SD is just, that's, like, the most unique thing about her, and like that is not present in SD. Like you can definitely make it work in Aetherytes, and I've seen a lot of the scam showcases in Aetherytes with Bernadetta, like the reflecting the Lapis Gale Force infliction to the defense.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, that was
the shadow
super
video.
sick. Yeah, that was super
great.
cool. But yeah, like it's at a really she arrived at a really awkward time for her, unfortunately. And I think the comments you made actually like reflects it really well. Like she's sort of similar to Brave Byleth right now.
Yeah.
She's really, really cool, but it's a bit awkward for her right now.
The thing that kills me, and my defense went perfect this week. Like they did really well, and a lot of that was because of Bernadetta. So that was great for her. The thing that really kills me is how awkward she is on Aetheryte's offense. I'm okay with them saying this is not an Aetheryte, this is not a Summoner Duels unit. We're gonna nerf her a little bit, and she's not gonna be used there. But I want to use her in at least 2 modes. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, that's on offense. If you think about all of what I want to do with her is like put Vantage on an Omni tank, right? And the issue there is all of the bulky Omni tanks, all the big ones, heal. And
right.
that's an issue. Like he was even looking here at Sita and trying to remember there, and she heals. Obviously Ike heals. I mean, who else are you gonna put? What are the other big ones right now? All of them have some sort of healing, and so you're gonna be taking away your Vantage. It's just okay. Plus Nurgle exists. You know, that's what are you gonna do?
Nurgle also heals too. Yeah, I found that out the hard way. I'm like, oh, Essence Strength. Crap. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to like if you're a Bernadetta fan, don't feel bad. Like she's a really good unit, and I think that she has the potential to get better. She's just a little bit awkward. That's all. Like it's just
right.
You really have to like plan exactly how you're going to use her to get the most of her.
Yeah.
And the weird thing is like I feel like she has almost all the key nuking abilities. Like the only thing she's really missing is like I think Krem pointed out like her might is low on her weapon, and then obviously she doesn't have like effective damage, but she's a brave weapon. She's fast. She has desperation, so she can quad. She has 40% true damage, and she's still not killing. That's like a sign that maybe they went too far with tanks, in my opinion.
Well, I think in the right mode she's killing. On defense, she's killing Ikes and surprisingly an Alfonse. That was kind of weird, but I think that was more situational than anything else.
Yeah. I mean, again, like Emblem said, like I think Bernadetta is still a really good unit. It's just like, again, just sort of awkward to use. And so in a batch of really, really good CYL units, like that sort of stands out, unfortunately. But you can definitely use her to great effect in competitive modes, and plenty of people have. And so, yeah, like I think overall, though, they have done a really good job on all of these units. Like, obviously, there's some variance here and there, but like CYL 7 before, like this batch was golden, honestly.
And for you Bernie fans, I'm higher than these two on her. I still have a lot of hope, but also remember that I'm a sucker for Vantage. So
I love Vantage too, but yeah, I don't.
I'm like the #1 Vantage hater here. So
Vantage is so cool.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
I guess before we end like the CYL conversation real quick, just because we have it on tape so everyone can hear. So next year they can make fun of us.
Yeah.
Who is the CYL unit you think is the best currently, and who will age the best?
I guess
I can start. I can start if you want. If you guys want to think about it.
No. We're gonna save you last because we know your answer. Honestly, my guess is still Felix, because I think Felix has the highest floor. Like we know exactly what he is. We've seen how well extra actions and AoEs and Gale Force do. Like we have an example of that in Edelgard. Like OG Edelgard is his floor. And that's a really good unit that people still use today. So that is my guess. And the reason is I think Robin is going to get power crept. I think that ice is probably going to have some things that go against it, and that's just my guess as to what will happen. So I'm looking in the crystal ball and seeing how that is. I think Felix is probably the best right now, and I think he will age the best.
I think the best right now is Brave Female Robin, because the ice is just insanely strong, both in Aetheryte's defense, both in Aetheryte's offense, in Summer's duels S and R. And yeah, like the amount of control you can have with that, plus the Canto End's Hush Spectrum, does make her very strong right now. When it comes to in a year from now, it's a lot harder to say, but I do think we will get other sources of Divine Vein Ice. We might not. We still don't have another source of the grass veins from Ratatoskr, so who knows? Maybe Robin will still only have the ice for herself a year from now, but like I do think it is more likely that we have another unit with ice, in which case like she will probably not be as optimal, and so like probably the one that will age the best. I think the safe choice is Felix, again, because of the extra actions, because of the place on Gale Force, and yeah, I think for the reasons why Joel said, basically.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, mine's obvious. I think Felix is the best unit, and I think he's also going to age the best. I think he's the, like, when it comes to all of them, I think that everyone has a very defined role except for Felix. He obviously, you can obviously use him as a Gale Forcer, but because of the way he is built, he has so many options on how to build him, and I think Slaying 2 is so ridiculously strong. Now it's possible Slaying 2 just becomes like the standard. They tend to do stuff like that, and then he would obviously be less unique than he is now. But if that's not the case, I think that just allows him to have more options in the future. As new skills come out, he'll be able to use them better than a lot of other people can. I think that's one of his big advantages. I do think Brave Robin is like a close second. I think she's extremely strong right now, but like both of you mentioned, I think that it's only a matter of time until we get more versions of Ice Terrain, or even other just terrain, right? Because terrain counters terrain. And so if you get effects that release terrain at the same time as her ice would, they just counter each other. No terrain comes out. So I think there's the chance of that happening. And then also we do have the Tribe banner coming up next month. And we've already had Wind and Fire, so guess what's coming next? I think it's going to be Ice. And if it's an Ice Tribe next month, Robin's going to lose value after a month, right? And that's really bad, especially if like the Duo has it, or like the Harmonic. I don't know which one. It should be a Duo. Like they do Duo Flora, and at start of turn, she releases Ice everywhere, right? And then Robin's already lost some value. I just think that she won't age the best, personally. Especially because Hush Spectrum, which is like her main defensive support, already has counters to it in the current game. So they don't even have to release new counters. There's already like 4. So that's something you have to consider as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's ask the question a little differently then. So obviously, where Felix will probably age well. Like we've talked about how the path to him aging well. And Robin, it's really based on power creep. Like the unit herself is good, but it depends on what happens in the meta. What do you think would happen to make Alfonse and Bernie the best unit looking back? Like what scenario would that have to be?
I think for Alfonse, it's just like we need more great talent support. I think if we can make up a team that has a lot of great talent getting stacked really fastly without having to engage in combat, that makes him really good. Another thing is like if he gets an easy access to NCD and maybe has like an additional powerful effect on it, I think that could help him. mostly that. I think if maybe we just get a lot of Cav favored maps, he's good in SD already. So maybe there's that. For Bernadetta, it's kind of weird. I think that we need a new special, which is kind of stupid because she just came with a new special.
Right.
But Deadeye kind of sucks, right? Like Deadeye is not the best, in my opinion. And so if there's another special we can get that like has just ridiculous scaling and she can use it really well, then there's that possibility. Also, if like somehow just all the tanks just fall off a cliff and all the healing supports fall off a cliff, which I don't think will happen, but maybe then Vantage could just like come back into the meta in a really big way. But that's typically not the case historically because Hardy Bearing exists.
Yeah, I think I agree with Oblivion. Like Alfonse, we just need more development into great talent that doesn't make it so that it takes a while to ramp it up, which is pretty straightforward. So I could see that happening. Bernadetta's more hard, I guess, to see a path. Because again, like I'm not a big fan of Vantage, and unless they literally change how the skills work, like the debuff reflection will always not work in SD. And so yeah, it's more difficult to say. I think we have to like return to a Cav meta like in the beginning of this year and just have like use that Kanto that she has to act similar to a Yunaka, but also support the team with desperation. And so it would have to be something like that.
Or like maybe a support unit that gives her just like ridiculous firepower for defense, like just like Seth times 10. I don't know, something like that.
Maybe, yeah. But yeah, I guess you heard it here first, folks. Clip it and ship it. We'll see y'all in a year to, I guess, see how right or wrong we are. But yeah, that'll be it for the CYL 8, and we already talked for an hour, so we do unfortunately have to move on. To
I think
our
DTM owes me a quarter because I predicted this.
Yeah, you did.
You actually did, yes. Let's talk about other units besides CYL 8. Let's talk about this double mythic banner that we had with Heiðrún and Deerman. We talked about Heiðrún a bit, and I'm sorry, I do not know Deerman's name. We just call him Deerman on this channel.
Eikþyrnir.
Eikþyrnir?
I can't. Yeah, we're not pronouncing that.
Eikþyrnir.
He is Deer God. That's a good one.
I like Deer Boy. I mean, everyone knows who we're talking about that way.
Right.
Yeah. So I think we can all agree. I think Heiðrún is definitely the more standout of the two, especially with her impact in Aetheryte's defense, being able to provide the Divine Nectar, just providing a lot of healing to a lot of tanks, providing some counterplay to Bolt Tower and AoE, which I'm a little bit sad about, and also just being very, very tanky and very hard to kill as well.
She's dumb. I don't like her. She's like she's like the new Freyr, right? Like she's like so ridiculously powerful. Even without bonus stats, like she is not easy to kill, right? Like she doesn't have mythic bonuses, and she's just so difficult. Like the fact that Divine Nectar gives out the extra action, that it has like a Breath of Life effect, that it has like flat DR, like it's so overtuned. It's insane. She's good in summer duels too, because she's just so busted. You just put her in there and she just stands there. Like people run into her, she's like, "What's up?" I was like, "Okay, jeez."
The one caveat to that is that Heiðrún herself can't really do anything in summer duels either. She just has to like tank and not like attack anything, unfortunately.
Thank God.
It's not bad. She's like a gatekeeper if gatekeeper was good. Like she just stands there and does stuff, right? Like, she just offers really good support, but she also doesn't die. Where like gatekeeper like stands there and offers really good support, then explodes. It's like okay.
I mean, yeah, like she's definitely very, very tough to deal with, especially now when she has the bonus stats, like the plus 10 HP and plus 5 to all stats. Definitely doesn't help. The thing that I've been mainly doing to deal with Heiðrún on defenses is basically just leaving her for last in Gale Force when I Gale Force things, because she needs to have a friend in order to activate her C skill to apply the Divine Nectar and a lot of her skills, and so that makes it a lot more easier to take her out once like everyone else is gone. So it does require you to make sure you strategize correctly, but so far, like at the very least, it has been manageable, at least on my end.
It's bit me a few times when they don't have Lagoo's Friend 4 and they keep Attack Defense Bulwark 4. And I think that I've got a path around her, and then I realized that she had a different B skill than I thought. So even then she can bite you. Like she's very annoying.
She's easily one of the best defense mythics we've ever gotten, in my opinion, already. So,
I mean, what's the contest? Like, who else do we have?
Freyr.
Yeah, it's Freyr.
I guess at the peak, yeah.
And the dancers, obviously the dancers too.
On defense, yeah, I only like Miraculous. I think Triandra's garbage. I've always thought she's garbage, and I'll stick with it.
Yeah, think about when they came out, though. I mean, that's.
I still think I hate her when she came out. I invested so much into her. She just kept killing herself. And I was like, "Stop it! I put so many orbs into you. Stop!" But yeah, I think she's amazing, and the fact that she's on the same season as Freyr is even more annoying. Can you guys give Dark some love? Like, jeez, leave Emma alone.
I do think she's not going to be as bad once bonus stats leave. The bonus stats, and I'm not obviously she's even working on Dark Season, so she doesn't need the bonus stats, but they do make her extra special annoying. So I'll be happy when they leave.
Yeah, definitely.
And yeah, it's interesting because like you said, like Heiðrún was basically like a Freyr but current day, in that like it's trying to deal with a lot of the player phase things that IS has been putting out a lot. So in that way it has been countering things like both tower and AoEs. But thankfully, again, like I'm very thankful that Heiðrún is in Astral Season and not in Light Season, because Sather exists, so it's a lot more easy to leave her for last, as opposed to like if you didn't have Sather, you would have to like run away or just like have your 70 HP Alfonse there tank Heiðrún and hopefully not die, which is reasonable enough, honestly. But yeah, it will be interesting to see how she fares without bonus stats, because I do think a lot of her tankiness right now is because of the bonus stats. So yeah, I guess we'll have to wait until the season's over to fully assess if she's as quote unquote unkillable as she is right now.
In Anima Season, my Sharena misses the kill by 3 HP. So
that's actually bonus stat diff.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Have you seen any people using Deerman yet?
Yes.
Yeah, I have.
Okay, I must be like playing at the wrong times or something, because I haven't seen any Deermans in my replays, unfortunately. I mean, I guess like using Deerman, it goes back to what we've been saying all the time about mythics, is that unless you have a +10, like, is it really worth it to +10 another offense mythic just to use what Deerman has? I think in most cases it would be no, right?
And that's a different level, right? You think about when Veil came out, the scout was good enough that you still used her. Or Lumera now, because of so many AoEs. Look, like you can use Lumera even if you don't have her at +10, just in a bonus slot. But he's definitely not that. And you guys have to tell me here, I'm putting him like around Reagan. I think he's gotten a little too much hate. Like he has a lot of killing power. He's great late game, and he does add stats. I mean, a bonus doubler's nice, and a attack defense +6. I mean, those are nice things. But he's not someone you absolutely go out and try to summon for. But you know, like we always say, sometimes your mythics choose you, and if he's chosen you, then I don't think he's bad to have.
No, I think he's pretty good. Like, he's definitely not like the mythic I'm going to, and he's definitely not a mythic I would +10 purposely. But he's definitely solid. He does a lot more damage, and he's like a really good melee specialist in my opinion. Sometimes when you're playing against Etherid's offense, like you'll just run into a unit who just wants to survive and be annoying, and he does a pretty good job of killing them. So like he definitely has a place, and the fact that he has like bonus doubler plus because he gives out the extra stats means that he has some pretty decent support too. So like he's definitely I don't think he's bad by any means. I just don't think he's like the top tier choice I'm going for.
Right. Especially like in Astra season, where we do have a lot of options when it comes to like Sather, Plumeria. It's honestly like the offense mythics in general are pretty stacked, and so it is hard to make that impact as opposed to say like Heiðrún, who immediately made an impact because all the other anima mythics were not as great, honestly. So yeah.
I just think she's broken. Like she just her effects are just so good. Like it's everything you could currently want in the meta, like for a defense unit. Like and it adds you unique new AI mechanics too. So
right, because like
people just don't know how. Right, the extra action.
Extra action, yeah.
A lot of times people just don't know what's gonna happen. They're like, oh wait, what? That unit's moving still?
Honestly, I completely forget a lot of times that she has that. Like, like when we were doing the runs with Satoshi yesterday, like I just completely, I always forget that if you like swap with her or something, like Byleth would still like have his action and something, and so I think that could come into play in SD potentially.
Oh, she was like I know that she was a bonus unit, so that's probably why her show up was higher than usual. But she's really good. Like every time I ran into her, I was like, oh god, this is gonna be annoying. Like her plus Ike is super annoying. I was using her with Soren and Duo Asker in like the save ball.
Right.
And she's really good there. So like she's really good in SD. Like definitely.
Yeah, she's just really good, and it'll be interesting to see how she does in SCR. Depending on how the map and teams go, it could be very interesting or boring.
Yeah,
depending on what.
I've got her paired with Emran on defense right now, and it just you never know where that defense. I never know where that defense is gonna go. Like it's absolutely ridiculous. So it's very frustrating, and there are a lot of things that are a little bit frustrating right now, and I'm hearing it from people. So we'll see what they do. That's why I think saves will probably come back, because there's so much unpredictability, and I think they're going to try to level things out, which I'm not a huge fan of because they have no chill, but it is what it is.
I mean, I think like part of IS's answers to that was like releasing a lot of these super powerful player phase units like Felix, like Sharena, like Golveg. The unfortunate reality is that most people don't want to like do that playstyle, and so the intended answer that IS has is just not applicable for a lot of the player base. Like obviously we here, we're fine, but for a lot of the player base, it's a lot more difficult.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how IS develops that. We do have one final banner, because I don't know if y'all know this, but IS has been on a trend recently of targeting Oblivion. And so we do have the Hoshidan Summer with all the Talius units, and we finally have Oblivion's most wanted unit. Isn't that right?
I mean, she was up there for sure. Like, I definitely wanted a Nephany alt. I'm very happy with what I got. She's very good in my opinion. I think she's a really nice mix of nuking and tank and support. So I'm very happy. And I mean, how long have I been asking for an anti-guard support? Like it's literally been years. And then Satoshi would be like, "We have Byleth," and I'd be like, "Aha, shh." So I'm very happy that we have a large range anti-guard, not necessarily like a drive, right, which is really good. Mm-hmm. The fact that she gives out Wrath support is really cool as well, with the extra true damage. And then the big thing, of course, is the special jump. Special jump support is like ridiculously good. That was the reason why Brave Robin even existed last year as a unit. Right. And we've seen how good it's been up to this point. But now that we can have it without having to have your unit within 2 spaces at start of turn, I think makes her way better in summer duels than Brave Robin, Brave Male Robin to be specific, ever was. And so I think I'm really happy with it. The sweep effect is like the cherry on top, and the only thing I think is kind of like mid is the harmonic skill, and it's mostly because she's a Path of Radiance unit, and like Path of Radiance just doesn't exist in the game currently. If she was Radiant Dawn, like oh man, like the Ike things would be disgusting. So that's probably why I decided not to do that.
It's basically one extra space for her. Like that's
and cleanser penalties. Yeah, like you're like, okay, I'll cleanse my own penalties and I can move more. Cool. Like, okay. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's not great.
I think the only unit that was being used often in SD that is Path of Radiance is like Ashnard, like literally just Ashnard. And like people run snap on him anyway, so like he already had extra movement, and so
right.
Yeah. It's interesting that Emblem Ike is not Path of Radiance, but Radiant Dawn, but I guess that's a discussion for another day. And I guess retroactively, we're thankful that that is not the case.
I'm not, but everybody else is.
Right. But yeah, like, it is unfortunate that the harmonic is held back by the limited pool of characters we have. But other than that, yeah, I do think Daphne is a pretty good unit overall. Like, as you mentioned, special jump is just really, really strong, and not having to have the range condition to worry about just makes it a lot more flexible. And flexibility is the name of the game when it comes to Summer's duels, because it allows you to be in a lot more different positions that might be more optimal than if you're just bunched up together. And so
it makes you more unpredictable.
Attack speed mastery is like pretty. It's good and bad. It's good because when you get that Canto 2 off on a ranged unit, it feels unfair. It feels so good. It reminds me of the Atri days, like when Atri was actually good. So like that, that's awesome. The bad part is you don't get Canto if you like break a block, which sucks. But so it's like it's a give and take, but it's pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with that.
Wait, is it only when you break a block? Really?
It's only when you enter combat.
Oh, right. Okay.
You have to have entered combat that turn.
Yeah. I mean, that's still good. So, like...
Oh, no, it's... Yeah. I was using her catcher ball, and I could just, like, go completely out, kill something, and just back away, back up into Mirror's safety. So it was really nice.
I'm amazed you didn't get stopped by the other skill that was released on this banner.
Canto Curb Stomp?
Yes.
I'm going to be completely real. I don't think... I mean, I know, like, probably some top players have it, but I literally have not seen Canto Curb Stomp, like, at all. Which is super funny because people have also stopped using Leon. And I mean, Leon was already stopping not being used as much, but I haven't really seen Leon that much. And I think people just assume that, you know, you can't really risk it in case you like run into the one person that has it. And so, yeah, it's just really interesting how that impacted the meta.
It's Ruse 4 from last year, or 2 years ago, whenever that landed. You remember how Ruse 4, and it was, I mean, everyone was like, oh my god, this is the most amazing thing ever. Catchery balls are dead. Yes, they were dead. And so Ruse 4 was also dead. Like, it's
I feel like the other thing is, like, this is a very anti-Cav map, too.
That is
like,
true.
Bringing Leon is, like, ultra stupid on this map. It's like, oh, the map's bad for him, and there's, like, hard counters for him that you can run into. That's why I didn't use him personally, but if there's a Cav map, I'm still gonna try him. Like, you can't stop me. So, but yeah, I think Canto Curb Stomp as a skill is just kind of stupid in my opinion. Like, it's overkill, and the fact that it's overkill attached to one of the most staple skills in the game, right? Or like in SD, you want Canto control on almost every team if possible, right? And so like the fact that they just attached it to that skill, like, just feels bad because like you're just. Like, sometimes it does nothing, and then sometimes it just completely stomps everything, you know? So it's like, ugh. I'm not a fan. I think, like, Breath of Life 4 was already a good enough counter for Leon.
Absolutely. And, I mean, we've talked that one to death. Like, they didn't need to go that far. I know the community's really happy because they really hated Leon, but they didn't need to go that far. Especially and we've said it before. I'm so mad that they did that right after they put Leon on the Hero Fest. Like, that just, I do not like that at all.
That was like the most scummy thing they've done in a long time.
Yeah, that's why I always say, like, you have to wait until literally the last minute because you never know. It's just good practice anyways to prevent like impulse summonings as well. But yeah, it is unfortunate that they did that.
You almost laughed. I heard. Oh, okay, whatever. The Leon hater.
I mean, I was fine with Leon. Like, I dealt with Leon with the best counter of all, Rearm Lucina.
Gosh, here it comes.
Like, people are talking about Canto Curve Stomp. It was Rearm Lucina that killed Leon, okay?
No, it was not. It was not. You know who killed Rearm Lucina, though? Zenith. That's another discussion. Talk about Lucia herself. Like, what do you guys think? Because I feel like she's kind of trash.
I think she's bad. Just flat out.
I mean, you guys saw my reaction. I thought this was gonna be a good unit. This is just not. I missed on that one. This is not a great unit right now. The meta has completely passed that style of play by, and I agree.
The problem is that she doesn't have that much damage reduction, like at all.
At all. It's like, wait, what?
And like with her,
zero.
how her weapon works, like that's all the DR she's gonna get, and so unless like you have bonuses on her, but like that's getting harder and harder with the support units you want to run these days, and so yeah, she's just not good, unfortunately.
It's all pierceable too.
It's all pierceable. Yep. Yeah. Which is funny because go ahead.
You finish your thought.
Okay. So it was just funny because like I remember I think it was the competitive base server chat, like when the silhouettes got released, everyone was super scared about Lucia 2.0 Electric Boogaloo, like how she was going to dominate the meta, and it just like did not happen, which was really funny in retrospect. But yeah. I like to say how bad she is. I ran into a gatekeeper, like a whaled out gatekeeper in SD, and I was like, oh gosh. And I see this plus 10 Lucia, and I'm like, huh. And I take my plus 10 Felix, and I one shot their Lucia, and then they just immediately surrender. And I'm like, oh, okay, never mind. And Felix didn't get a proc special. He just killed her naturally as a red unit. And I was like, this unit is garbage. Yeah, she's basically exists as Canto Curve Stomp fodder, unfortunately.
Absolutely.
Yeah, she's the sacrificial fodder unit of the banner.
Which sucks. Because her art's amazing.
Her art is so good. Yeah.
It really is. If you're a defense fan, I will say Canto Curb Stomp on Anima season is still worth it. Like that's just because there are a lot of Sathers. So that can actually help you out. But I think that's the only... I think the threat of it pretty much just erased any sort of Leons. So, yeah.
We also have Mia.
Yeah, Mia. I was about to say Mia is apparently super good in Summer's duels, according to the people I've been talking to. I mean, she functions similar to Ashnard in a way, in being like that melee flyer frontline. Actually, no, not Ashnard. I think the more appropriate comparison would be is Anna. And especially now with Celica Ring, I mean, people were already running Anna with Celica Ring, but you put that on Mia, and she can definitely just go to town and do a lot of the similar things that Anna can, while being very, very bulky as well.
Yeah, that's the big thing, right? It's like for Anna, the thing was that she was relying on Miracle, and at a certain point, like her bulk was just not enough where like you could proc Miracle on her pretty easy and kill her. She's still really good. You just go with like the AoE build now, I think is the better option. But with Mia, she just has like a billion flat DR, like literally, like she's like 30 or something stupid like that. She has like 30 true damage, and so like she's just actually like really good. The one thing she has like the weakness to is like bonuses getting stolen from like Nurgle, which obviously is a big deal. But like even with that, like she just can play really aggressively as a frontliner, same as Anna, which is really, really nice. But she offers more firepower and more tanking, so that's a pretty good trade considering you do lose the duo skill. I think it's a pretty fair trade.
And anytime a team has to act before they can take you out, like that's 2 actions to take out a unit. That's a good thing. Like that's if it takes you 1 essence drain and then you can take out the unit, that's a win.
Or like a Thor button,
on a completely like unrelated to anything competitive side note, I do wish her weapon was inheritable because I just want to see the cotton candy memes on everybody. Like I love this weapon.
It's
pretty
actually
great.
funny. Yeah, it's such a good weapon.
Yeah.
It's so big on the art too. Like imagine eating all that cotton candy. Like we thought Ileana was the big eater, but I guess it's Mia all along.
Oh gosh.
But yeah, like Mia is pretty straightforward. We did get a new skill with Mia with Pegasus Rift. I'm not the biggest fan of that, to be perfectly honest, but I mean, like melee flyers do have a lot of options with like Wyvern Rift, with the reopening now. Do you know if there's like any particularly good users for that skill?
Yeah, I mean, I think she uses it really well, but there's a lot of like high resistance melee flyers that can use it also. I think it's a great skill personally. It's like, I don't know why they made Wyvern Rift but better. Like it technically has better true damage and flat DR than Wyvern Rift.
I don't know about
why.
A lot. Like I don't know.
No, not a lot.
A lot
right?
maybe. They're definitely some good users of it though.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah. Okay, yeah. But I think it's a really good skill, right? Like you get guaranteed fall attack, you get true damage, you get flat DR, you get fall denial, like, and you get the frozen effect. Like it makes her extra annoying to take down. So I think it's a great skill, especially on her. I think she's obviously one of the best users, if not the best user. So I'm a fan.
Yeah, I'm just very thankful I did not see any Mias on my run, because especially with Celica, because otherwise, like, I think I would have. I mean, I already struggled to deal with Anna, so I think Mia would just like it would be over for me.
Hard wall.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think for like the Hoshidan Summer, it was mainly like Nephany and Mia that stood out in terms of the units themselves. Like obviously Lucia did have the cancel curb stomp, but that's more of like a skill thing. I'm very glad we do have the return of Hoshidan Summer though. Like I actually really like that theme a lot, and yeah, having them in the festival attire is just really, really nice.
Yeah, I mean, as long as Hoshidan Summer still is like secretly Telia Summer, I'm fine.
This is just a prelude.
Why do they hate Leo? I don't get it.
You didn't know, but I'm a developer, and he pity broke me 9 times. So I now have a vendetta against him.
The secrets have been revealed. No wonder why you've been getting targeted.
Been targeting myself.
Yeah. All the money you spent is just getting refunded.
You guys never actually saw me buy the orbs.
Dev mode activated. But yeah, we do have the refines. One particular refine, to be perfectly honest, and that is Seteth. Who got actually a really, really good refine. Like, it's actually amazing how good of a refine it is. And the fact that he was, like, the 4-star one of the batch. Because, like, if I haven't looked into too depth, but I believe he, like, functions similar to Ashnard, if I recall correctly, right? Or...
Yeah, yep. Yeah, he works, it's pretty similar to Ashnard, yeah.
And, like, we already know, like, how good Ashnard is. And, like, Seteth, yeah, being able to function in a similar way, being able to be that melee flyer front line. I actually saw teams of him in Summer's tools, so...
Yep.
Yeah, like, they did a really good job with him.
I think so, too, yeah. I mean, honorable shout out to Summer Byleth, who got a pretty solid refine. And my boy Gaytree, who I think is just... I've been talking about him all day because I'm salty about that. But I think his refine is, like, not being slept on because there's definitely people who know about it, but, like, it's kind of cracked. Like,
yeah.
It's kind of cracked.
I'm seriously looking at building him. Like, it'll take a lot of fodder, but yeah, he's...
RD Fighter 4 incoming. And then he's going to have -4 special cooldown before Fro's first attack.
Oh,
I'm
boy.
so afraid to build anyone right now because I feel like the next crack skill is just around the corner, and that's
always.
They've gone the other way. You know, you're supposed to have FOMO, and I'm now to the point where I'm just scared to do anything because whatever happens, the next banner is gonna power creep whatever I just did.
I mean, they did release Hardy Fighter 3 in September, if I recall correctly. So we might see Hardy Fighter 4 then.
Oh gosh.
But yeah, I mean that's personally why I personally do not like summoning specifically for fodder. I know I've always had the propaganda of never summoning for fodder, only summoning for units. You can always make do with whatnot. And sure, there's some skills like Hardy Fighter, Guidance, that you would really, really like to have to do well in competitive modes. But yeah, I mean, it's for those reasons that I personally just rather just make do with what I have and not try to go specifically for fodder, which is again why I didn't go for Kanto Curb Stomp. Also because again, I could just rely on other people having that so that it just beats me on.
It is getting harder and harder to figure out what those things are that you need to summon for and you don't need. And so that is a difficult thing.
Yep.
Yeah. And speaking of things that are hard to figure out, we talked about refines. We have the upcoming CYL 6 refines. And isn't it crazy? I know I said this before, but it's crazy that Brave Crom is getting a refine right now. I know Tiki needs it, but what are they going to do what do you think they're going to do to the upcoming CYL batch?
I think Tiki pops off. Tiki gets the best refine. Is one of the best omniticks in the game. I think Crom gets the most tame, boring refine ever. And I think Self gets an okay one. And then Brave Byleth gets something really weird. And it's oh, that could be good. Maybe. But then it never actually is good. And everyone's dang.
Well, you gotta break Satoshi's heart like that, Oblivion. Come on.
You can't win every Byleth refine. That's how it works.
Hold on. This is no, you're looking at this wrong. This is the perfect thing for Satoshi, because if it's this weird off the beaten path thing, then he has this whole path to redemption where he shows that it's amazing. And that's all about what Satoshi is. He won't know at the time that that's what he wants, but that will be the thing that he loves the most, because he can, it's always nice to bring new ways to the community how to use a unit. So he'll enjoy that.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
That I have said great talent will be on Tiki, I can't get it out of my head. I literally thought about it just this hour, and now I'm oh god, she's gonna get great talent. So that would make her really interesting, and I'm curious. We'll see how she does. I agree though. I think she'll get the most broken one. I think Crom, when we say tame, just to be specific, I think he will get a Brave Edelgard level of refine. So I think it will be good enough that he is still an amazing unit. And we still use Brave Edelgard to this day. I think that'll maintain him, and he'll still be excellent. The wild card to me, I don't know what they're going to do with Seliph. That's an interesting one, and I'm not sure how exactly that one's going to work.
They're going to be hey, now all the caps have 4 movements, so we gave 5 movements. But for real, they should just give him anti-stall. I think if they gave him that would be a big.
Have the same anti-stall that Legendary Yuri had, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, and
even but that wouldn't that's one thing though. But they have to give.
Oh
him,
yeah.
They'd have to give him more. They'd have to give him a lot more.
That's
damage reduction, piercing, probably.
Yes.
True damage, I guess.
Special
just
jump,
a bunch of things, yeah.
Stuff.
Yeah. I was talking to some folks, and they were how the number 1 male winner always get the most cracked out refine. They were if Brave Crom gets the most cracked out refine, we will know that pattern actually exists and is true. I was oh my gosh, you're just right. Imagine if Brave Crom got the most cracked refine out of this batch. That would confirm the theory, and it'll be so good. It'll be so good.
No,
excited.
it's not good. He's already really, really good. He doesn't need to be better.
Is it actually the male that does that, or is it because the male got the worst, the really bad original kit, and that's the reason they get the bigger fine is because they were the worst. So we'll definitely get to prove.
We never know.
Things.
So this is the moment where we can prove one way or the other which is it.
Absolutely.
And so Yeah, we'll find out. But yeah, we've been talking for an hour and a half now. That's quite a long time, but we did have a lot to discuss, and it was obviously really, really fun talking about CYL 8 and the rest of the banners. Obviously, we were super, super excited about CYL 8. And yeah, do let us know down in the comments what your favorite unit from that batch is. And yeah, before we leave it off, do you have any final comments about anything we discussed that you want to talk to the viewers?
I want to know in the comments.
We won.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
That's it. We won Felix fans. It was a hard, long fight. Robin and Soren screwed us over last year, but look who's winning now. It's us.
I want to know in the comments who wants the update to the Gale Force video that DTM has been alluding to for a while now. Who wants that? Like let me know down there. I think if we put enough pressure on him, especially now, it's really apt right now. So that's let us know. I'm curious.
I really, really need to get that out. Actually though. But yeah, let us know. Thank you for that, Joel. But yeah, again, thank you two as always for being on this podcast. Always super fun to do these discussions as always. And yeah, thank you everyone. Hope you all have an amazing rest of the day, and see you all next time. Bye everyone.
Bye.
Bye.